Hello there, my name's John Cossham and I'm going to tell you why I'm supporting Extinction Rebellion. I'm 52, I'm a Green and I live in York, and for many years I've been doing things to do with politics and community and my personal life to try and encourage people to be green, to reduce their carbon footprint, to use resources wisely. And I really feel as if I've come to the end of my tether because things haven't changed in the way that I would like them to. These are some of the things I've done. On a personal level, I have tried to cut my own footprint and my own resource use. So the household, since 1999, has been using 100% renewable electricity through good energy. I also run the house on some smoke-free wood stoves, which we cook on and heat bath water on, and we've got solar panels on the roof of two different sorts, water and electricity. I've been vegetarian since my late teens, for over 30 years. I stopped flying in 1997 because flying is one of the biggest contributors to climate change. I don't have a car and I cycle everywhere. I have a nice bike trailer which I put things in if I want to carry things around. I'm very keen on reuse and recycling, so I've been known as a freegan, as I don't mind going in skips and bins and finding things. I sometimes find food, I sometimes find building materials, I sometimes find things like electrical items that shouldn't be in a skip by the side of the road, so I pop them in my bike trailer and I take them down to the civic community site and I pop them in the waste electrical and electronic equipment skip so they can get recycled. I got involved in sustainable development in the 90s following the green degree that I did, and I helped promote Local Agenda 21, and we got a Local Agenda 21 officer put into the council, and she became a sustainability officer. Back in the 90s, I was involved in a local trading group that tried to encourage people to trade locally using a local imaginary currency called a LET system. Then I got involved in transition towns, and I was helping to run York in Transition. From York in Transition, we got Edible York started, which is about growing food in the city. Also York Community Energy, which is about making our own energy in the community. I'm involved in tree planting, so I help run Tree Menders York. I've done a permaculture course, and I'm interested in kind of habitat with St Nicholas Fields. They're a lovely nature reserve, and I'm a life member, and I'm doing some fundraising for them very soon. I've done the York World Naked Bike Ride, which is promoting cycling and saying that we need safer roads to cycle on. I ran at York Green Festival for 3 years back in the noughties, and people came along and learnt about community groups they could get involved with and campaigns, and listen to some nice music. I co-founded Frack Free York, and because fracking is one of the biggest threats we have to not being fossil free in the future. If we open up fracking sites, we're going to be extracting gas for years, and we can't be doing that if we want to go zero carbon, which is what we need to do with the threat that we face. I spent 8 years starting a credit union because poverty is one of the main enemies of sustainable development. I tried to stop a lovely hospital site called Naburn Hospital Site, which had loads and loads of mature trees on it. They were going to chop all the trees down and build a shopping centre on it, and we tried to stop them, and we failed. And now it's a huge, great big car park with a shopping centre on it where people go and buy stuff that they don't really need, and it doesn't make them happy, but it makes the economy run in the way that it's supposed to under capitalism. On a community level, the thing I'm most proud of is I started York Rotters in 2004. We taught thousands of people how to compost, how to home compost. That is, to put their food waste and their garden waste in a container in the garden so it doesn't have to get driven away and shredded up by a big diesel machine or driven away to a landfill or an incinerator. You can create healthy soil in your garden by composting, and I love it. I'm sometimes called Compost John because I love it that much. I do talks on climate change, so I can come and talk to your group about climate change and low carbon living, and I have done many talks to skeptics groups and humanists and other groups to teach them about this subject, and composting, of course. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that in 2008 I accidentally entered a competition run by Oxfam to find the person with the lowest carbon footprint in the UK, and I put my data in and then forgot about it, and then they rang up and they told me that I had the lowest in the country. The prize really was to go and speak to politicians down in Westminster to find out how much they knew about climate change and to help them understand. I feel for politicians, but now we need politicians to take brave choices. They need to be good leaders. That's what we need them to be. All this time, the carbon dioxide level has been edging up. I've been watching it since the 1990s. We are going to know about it in the future. The amount of wildlife that is getting splattered on your windscreen has gone down. The amount of pollinators that are looking after our food plants has gone down. We are heading to some kind of apocalypse. I don't know. I'm not into predicting. What I'm into doing is to try and get things changed. And that's why I'm supporting Extinction Rebellion. The IPCC has said we have probably about 12 years to go zero carbon. Otherwise, we then face catastrophic climate change, which we won't be able to reverse. The Secretary General of the United Nations on September the 10th this year said we have till 2020 to reverse carbon emissions before we hit catastrophic climate change, and we can't reverse things. So basically, somewhere in the next few years, we are going to have to change what we do so incredibly drastically, or we're going to commit our children and grandchildren to a very, very uncomfortable future. And by uncomfortable, I mean people will die because of climate change. And I really love people. Why are we doing stuff now which is going to make people die in the future? It seems so selfish and so wrong. We can change things. I don't know by how far we can change things, but if we don't try, we won't succeed at all. Extinction Rebellion is a very new group which is aimed at making people aware of the depth of the problem that we have with climate change. So what Extinction Rebellion are doing is they're doing direct action to get the stuff in the news. They've got three main demands: for governments and authorities to tell the truth about climate change. All the experts know, and the experts are telling governments, and governments are going, oh, we can't talk about this because people will be scared. We have to talk about it. This is difficult for all of us. To go zero carbon in this country by 2025. Now that is a big ask, and personally I don't think it's going to happen, but we have to try. We really have to try to go as low carbon as possible. We need to go zero carbon yesterday, basically. Because government has failed, we need to put in a different way of making decisions. One way is to have a citizens' assembly, and this is a randomly chosen group of people. They're representative, it's not completely random, and these people will advise government. They will take advice themselves from experts, and government will work with them like a third chamber, perhaps, or maybe to replace the unelected House of Lords. That something radical has to happen, and if it doesn't happen, then mark my words, we are going to know about it in the future. And I think about that, and I cry. It's just so it's so obvious what's going to happen when you know the facts, when you're a scientist and you know what's happening and you listen to the experts. We're going to change things, folks.
most beautiful skies, as a matter of fact.